Society of River Falls. Today we are honoring three of the treasures of our community, Jens Gunelson, Trygve Aarsheim, and Vicki Aarsheim. And today we do it with sad hearts for the passing of Trygve, which was just yesterday afternoon, surrounded by his loved ones. And so thank you for being here this morning to surround each other with our love and support. Martha, would you sound the opening gong, please?
Thank you.
And welcome again. I'm Nancy Miller. I'm the current board chair for the Unitarian Universalist Society of River Falls, and I'm honored to be here today for a morning of thanks and remembrance for three of our treasures, Jens, Vicki, and Trygve. And as you've heard, Trygve passed away yesterday afternoon, and Vicki and their children have been supporting. He was in hospice at the end. And I will let Pastor Bonnie give us a little note from Vicki.
Over the past weeks, I've had many hours of good visits with our friend Trygve, Vicki, and some of the members of the family. One thing I want to do before I have a few words to say is I want you, oh, it's gone. David took it away, the picture of Trygve. Because that picture of Trygve, that smile, that gentle face was always there. From the moment I met him until the last moment when we said goodbye to each other. Our friend Trygve has been on a long journey of life. From his birth in China to his youthful years in Taiwan, then to the USA, then to Norway, then back to the USA, and so much more. And then, these past few months, the long journey of cancer and treatment. And today, we celebrate a moment of silence, the ending of his life, as Trygve passed from this life to the mystery beyond. Let us pause for a moment of silence. Trygve's journey included being a man who loved books, to being a librarian who taught children to love books. Our friend Trygve has been on a long journey from a single man to a married man, from serving others to serving his family, and to serving in this community. Trygve shared a long marriage with Vicki, a partnership in family, but also really a partnership in life and all of its many and wondrous events. Our friend Trygve has been on a long spiritual journey, and that is the joy I've had over these last weeks and months, to know more about that long spiritual journey through different faiths to this place at UUSRF, where he found with Vicki a home, a place to serve, a place to be with others, to love others, and be loved by others. We will miss him. We will grieve our loss of him and rally our caring for his family, Vicki, who probably doesn't need a phone call today, but in a week, for sure, a card at any moment, and a good thought and a positive prayer for her. A few days ago when I was visiting Trygve, I knew that it was probably my last visit with him. We had a wonderful visit. We shared cookies and coffee and conversation and a lot of laughs because you know Trygve. And then at the end, he put his arms out and he wanted to hug me goodbye. He took my hands and we held on to each other's hands. And I said to him, "Peace be with you. Life grant you joy, and grace be in you, my friend." Trygve then looked at me and said, "And that for you too, and peace to you." I extend his final words to all of you today, that you may find that life grants you grace, that you find joy in living, and that peace be with all of you. Our friend is at peace. Now, may we share in the joy and peace of having known him in our lives. Peace to you, and please share peace and grace with someone next to you.
Then if you would rise as you are able, and together we will state our common beliefs. We, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, acceptance of one another, and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large, the goal for a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Thank you. And the chalice lighting. Roy, would you be willing to come up and light our chalice today? Thank you. It's a stretch. And if we will all read the opening words to God, we can't because you don't have them.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we do. All right, let us drink from the stories that sustain us all. We gather as a house of stories, as a shelter shot through with memories that speak, that long for us to listen, without which we easily lose our way. As we learn of those who have gone before, the way in front of us becomes more clear, not because it does not constantly break your heart, but because it also beckons with beauty, startles with delight, if only we keep waking up. This is the gift. We have been chosen. These body clothes, this heartbreak, this pulse, this breath, this light, these friends, this hope. Here we remember ourselves, all a part of it all, giving thanks and centering joy. Come, let us worship together. By the Reverend Scott Taylor. Thank you. And now, if you are able again to stand, our opening song, We Gather the Spirit. Please stand. Our opportunity to share our joys and concerns. I would light the first candle for the joy of this Unitarian, Universalist, loving, thankful, kind community. And if that doesn't work, I'll try a small. You're welcome to come on.
I'm going to light
Veronica, could you use the mic?
Oh, sorry. I'm lighting a candle for the city of Kenosha and for all of us who are concerned about violence in this country.
I'm going to need some help because there were two people here earlier, and with the mask, I didn't understand her name. They needed to leave because she can't be vaccinated and she couldn't stay. But Hazel, thank you. And David is her partner. So Hazel and David are planning to restore and take care of our labyrinth. And she said it was okay to announce that as a joy, but Bonnie thought of it as an announcement, but I think it's a joy for us that they are going to do that work. And she also said she left milkweed pods that could be released at the end of the service. So
Right next to Jen's.
okay, so that's a joy. Now, I'm not going to do a concern about Trygve. I'm going to do a joy because Trygve and Vicki walked with Frank and I through incredibly challenging times. There was one time I was in Sarasota visiting Lee, and Frank needed to go to the hospital, and they met him at our house. They followed the ambulance to take him to the hospital. Vicki, actually, when my aneurysm ruptured and I had brain surgery, she was at the hospital when my neurosurgeon came in and said, "We're going to transfer you to a regular floor today." And I looked at him, I said, "Couldn't I just go home?" And he said, "You want to?" And I said, "Yes, I do, please." And so he discharged me, and Vicki was there and gave me a ride home. But they pretty much got me and Frank through some incredibly challenging times. And they also shared enough of the end of Trygve's life that not only did I appreciate that, but I went back through some of the things with Frank too, and it was a nice way to go back and revisit. So I really appreciate who they were in my life.
Paula,
Yes.
could you light a candle for me for Kelly Brennan, whose father passed away this week?
Yes. There you are.
I could start off by lighting one candle for each of you, but I want to just say how much I appreciate this community, and I have a joy to share. My sister was 87 years old, was told she would never live on her own again, that she really wasn't competent to take care of herself, which is a little bit true, but not as bad as it was. And 2 weeks ago, she went home. So when I dash out today, it's because I'm going north. And it's such a joy and a reminder to all of us that we cannot predict the journey we're on. We simply must live it and live it with the best hope we have. So, my joy. Thank you.
My joy is to have been a part, know these three incredible people that have been an inspiration, really, a life inspiration, and to what the best of humanity can be. And the acquaintance with Aarsheim goes back more than 40 years, so I'm a very lucky person to have experienced that for this long. So I didn't know if we'd be sharing things later, but I wanted to say this was a major joy in my life to know.
Yeah, this is going to be kind of free-flowing, but yes, we have a separate part of the service that was intended to be more sharing about these three wonderful people. So I don't want to, if the spirit moves you and you want to come up and say something now, or you're afraid you'll break down later, please feel free to come up and share it as part of Joys and Concerns. Otherwise, if there's anything else you want to come forward with. Also, please note, if you feel you need a tissue, I brought this because music tends to heighten your emotions, and I really felt like I was going to have trouble getting through this service playing, and I probably needed this just in case.
You just take one of those.
I just want to share so much joy in gathering so I like this for all of us. This morning, before I came here, I was standing in my yard braiding some of the grapevine that I'd been ripping out of my compost and enjoying the sunshine when all of a sudden it turned very stormy and it was all of a sudden very windy, and I turned around because I heard the sound of cranes, and I looked up in the sky and there were probably 50 or 75. All of a sudden again, that shift in the weather forced them all together, and they made a beautiful sound. And I was just so grateful to be present and a part of that, and the reminder to keep looking up and to stay with your flock, know who your friends are, work together. I'm just so grateful for this community and for all of you, and I just want to light one more candle, just to keep everyone safe as can be, and light our way.
A final candle for Joys and Concerns Unexpressed. And now we have, Martha will introduce the Offertory music, which is a gift from a beloved member.
So I think most people here know who Melissa Rice is. She was a member of our congregation for a while, and is a wonderful singer. And she had recorded a recital of Grieg. I don't know when it was recorded, but she, when I reached out to her, she sent me some MP3s for us to listen to. And I'm not actually sure which one it is we're listening to, but she did send me a message to go with it. Hello friends, I'm unable to be with you physically today, but I'm with you in spirit and in voice. I hope that these recordings of Norwegian songs are healing and helpful to everyone who hears them. Trygve helped me with the Norwegian the first time I attempted it, and also worked on Norwegian texts with one of my singing students. I will always remember his patience and kindness. I have continued to work on the Norwegian and hope that it does Trygve proud when he hears it. I did let her know that he had passed away last night, and she hadn't sent me this yet. And I told her, I think he's listening anyway, so please go ahead and send it to us, and I hope you all enjoy it. I believe the one we're listening to, and we can listen to the others after the service too, I think is here.
I think it's Solveig's song.
Oh, is it Solveig's song? Okay. And that's the most famous Greek piece she sent us. This is from Peer Gynt. Perhaps they'll go by both winter and spring, and next summer with them, and the whole year. But one day you will come, that for sure I know, and I shall surely wait for my promise I gave at last. God strengthen you wherever you go in the world. God gladden you, if by his footstool you stand. Here shall I wait until you come again, and if you wait up above, we'll meet there, my friends. So that was actually the Swan. I'll read you the lyrics to that one. My snowy white swan, you're silent, you're still, neither beat nor trill, so singing won't be suspected, anxiously protecting the elf muse who sleeps. Always listening, you glide away. But at the last meeting when vows and eyes were hidden lies, yes, then it sounded. At music's birth, you broke free of the orbit. You sang in death. You were, of course, a swan.
Thank you, Martha. Then we will be on to our service of Thanksgiving. And the line says, thoughts from Don, Nancy, and Dave. So Don Lee, who will be speaking for Don? Okay, Martha, go ahead.
So I reached out to Don because I know he has a great sense of the history of this place and is a founder, and we needed to reach back that far because Jens is also a founder of this organization. And he starts out with a quote from Henry David Thoreau. There are certain pursuits which, if not wholly poetic and true, do at least suggest a nobler and finer relation to nature than we know. The keeping of bees, for instance. So this is Don's voice. I really got to know Trygve and Vicki much better when we started keeping bees together in 2013. It was always a pleasure to drive out to their country retreat, Solbakken, sunny place, south of Ellsworth. Their dog Lila would always give me a friendly greeting. Like me, the Aarsheims were novices at beekeeping, but willing to learn. And did we learn? Mostly by our mistakes. Vicki recounted a particularly harrowing experience trying to harvest honey too late in the day without adequate preparation. However, we did learn and enjoyed the company of our bees. Many times I would observe Vicki just sitting in front of the hive communicating with her six-legged sisters. It is difficult to enumerate at the services, all the services that these two have provided for the Society over the years. We should all be extremely grateful for the official duties, President of the Society, members of the board, carrying circle stalwarts, and committee memberships. But it is the simple, everyday acts of selflessness that impress me the most about these two. Cleaning up after services, mowing the grounds, supplying food to the potlucks, contributing beautiful items to be sold at the auction. These are things that generally go unnoticed and underappreciated. Thanks, Vicki and Trygve, for bringing your special warmth to UUSRF. And now for Jens, the man who could never say no. I must be careful when I ask Jens to do me a favor, and I have done that numerous times, because I know he will never refuse me, even if it means that he must add one more item to the long list of things that he has already said yes to. The Society appreciates him for his expertise as a photographer, gardener, technology expert, and general handyman. It is no wonder that he has helped so many others. He has so many talents. Jens has been with UUSRF from the very beginning, and he has been a rock-solid contributing member all those years. Jens is the most imperturbable person I know. Isn't that the truth? I admire the calming influence that he has on our society. We are indebted to him for his foundational support of UUSRF.
And now if David Trechter would like to give his thoughts.
So I'm mostly going to talk about Jens because I think we divided it this way. Nancy was going to do Trygve and Vicki, but we moved here in late 1990, and I probably met Jens early in 1991. They sent assistant professors over to get pictures of themselves taken, and Jens was the man. And so I've known him for almost half of my life. And Jens is one of those quiet presences that is too easy to overlook. If most people had the talents that he has, the abilities that he has, they would be screaming for the microphone. They would be flaunting their talents. But Jens is like the perfect photographer. At campus events around here, you don't notice him until his beautiful images appear the next week, or the next year, or the next month. He has so many talents, as Dawn mentioned, as a gardener, as a woodworker, as the person who really knows what he's doing up here in the booth. But one of the things that I didn't really realize, partly because he's always
Thank you, David. And so, Jen's put together a slideshow, and he would start that. I could talk for weeks about Trygve and Vicki, but mainly I want to say that they have enriched us all with their kindness, with their generosity, with their willingness to do the hard work, whether it's setting up or organizing or speaking or cleaning up. Whatever the job that needed to be done, the Aarsheims were willing to be there and to make mistakes and to fumble and to get stronger and to have more confidence and to help build and sustain this loving community, which to me is the best treasure I've ever experienced. And I thank Vicki, and I thank Trygve, and I thank Jen, and I thank each of you for contributing your heart and spirit to this good work. So if we could have our slideshow, please.
These are going to appear in kind of a random order. I was kind of lazy and had a lot of pictures that I selected out, and I just went by file names. So you'll see some kind of, not much order. This first one would, I'll just comment on the group changes as we go through. This would be the auction.
I have that.
Mine's closer.
But, yeah, cleaned it yesterday.
Lynn, you purchased that at the
Yeah,
auction?
and I just, we had a dinner last night, and I cleaned and put it in the center of the spot.
Lovely.
They were beekeepers also, besides John Beekeeper. This is at their place. And I went through the whole process. This is during one of the services at the old Blue Building. And at this time, this particular time that these slides cover is when we were trying to decide on building a new building. Trygve and Vicki both got me started with permaculture. So they were in the permaculture group before I wasn't inviting me in. And we would spend once a month going out to each individual's place and taking a turn. So this was at some of the gatherings. Also, part of permaculture is to produce no waste. And part of that is with the concept of a hugel, which is bury wood and make it a biomass rather than burn it up. And this is one of the times when we were digging a hole. It's right out there. And that would become about where we would start burying some of the trimmings that we had around here. And to make it more tight, I used a chainsaw. took these pictures by putting the camera on the tripod, so had something to do there. But when we started, moved into this area, we were having lots of boxelor bugs in front, as you might have seen a couple now. We used to have many more. But we had lots of boxelor trees, so that's one of the things that we wanted to cut down and bury. And so other kinds of trees, the white pine, the oak, the walnut could prosper. And the boxelor trees were quite prevalent. There's the bugs that we're missing. And there's that tree that was cut down. You might have seen the cement blocks out here full of soil. They aren't actually full of soil. The bottom layer, about a foot and a half or so, is boxelor trees buried in biomass. And there's a brick. Trygve and I spent a lot of time digging up soil, filling those up. And that's a result of it a couple of years ago. And that's another part of the garden back here. I'm the lazy one. I took the chainsaw and Trygve did picking up a lot of the branches, moved them out, so I got the good end of that deal. He was a very good hard worker. You know, one of the things about him that I really appreciated so much was there was when you had an idea, he would understand what you were talking about. It was never, okay, let's argue over this. It was, okay, let's do this. Okay, how are we going to do it? And he was a very easy person, the easiest person I know to work with. And when I got sick a while back and I needed a porch built, or steps built in a hurry, I called him up and he came over and I kind of knew what I wanted to do. So I'd work for a couple of minutes and then he would do the grunt work and then I'd work a couple of minutes and got kind of lazy. But he was a very, very good person to work with. And these are the grounds, some of the ground shots that you see. This is the outside labyrinth that Trygve designed. Some of the garden stuff. And that was some of the This was one of the old part of the garden we used to have. This was about 2-3 years ago. Did a lot of mulching at the time. This was Vicki's project for producing, this is the group that you work with, I'll go back to that one.
Ladies Who Lunch.
What's that?
Ladies Who Lunch. She worked with Dawn on setting up Undies Sundays as a project to give underwear to our neighbor's place, I believe. And she organized the Ladies Who Lunch group to get that together for us.
They always had a good time. This is my family. except for one, this was taken a couple years ago. It's myself and Kelly. Kelly used to come out here as a kid. I don't know if you remember her. She never crawled. She scooted. And so she would be scooting all over the floor. She's grown up since then. She's a couple inches taller than me now. So. And then my daughter and her son, William, and my daughter Jordan, right here, behind the hat, and the hat and the blanket. And that's her other daughter, Naomi, and Naomi's daughter, that's Hazel. And that was when I was visiting my ecologist, and this was just prior to COVID. And he said, "Can I use your phone?" And so he took a picture of us. That was the last time I was able to bring anybody in. But the one in the middle there, Max, she's very cute. Well, that's Cookie. I've watched these, particularly Max quite a bit. And when I would hold her, I would sometimes fall asleep. But Jordan's got a collection of several thousand of this kind of thing. That's Naomi watches in the background. But their Max is a very cute little kid. There's William. He's addicted to the iPad. Okay, so I am too. Okay, this is Kelly, when she was going to take classes here. There was a couple of years where we had the classes going on, and she insisted I be in the room with her, so I just took a lot of pictures of her and the classes. And you can see she's in the scooting mode right there. Okay, this is some of the May Day. Trygve was always much involved in that. Okay, we have those monthly meetings or gatherings with the permaculture group, and this is one of the first ones that we had. It happened to be a rainy day, and we were out looking at the different grasses and stuff. They were discussing it. And we had a good time. Always ate afterwards. We did a few projects, and you might notice some benches, a couple of benches around here. That was one of our projects at one time, was making some benches. And both Trygve and Vicki were very much involved in the construction there. We made quite a few. That is a stove, rocket stove, I forgot the name. And Vicki was quite involved in that, so Trygve was lighting it, and we were doing some tanning on it. This is out at Vicki and Trygve's place out in the country. They also raised some pigs, and they were just being weaned from their mother, and so there's a couple pigs that they started at their place there. So these are out at the Trygve. They raised to the point where they had matured. Got meat from them. I don't know if they decided, that was the last time they tried it, but at least they had the experience of doing it. And this is out at the county fair. And there's little Kelly again with the list of them. You can always tell they always had a good time, I think. And they've participated a good deal here. This is back in the old blue house. And so we did a lot of reading. This is one of the this is one of the storytelling that he had back in the blue house. This is the solstice. Trygve told the story, a wicked story. It's back at their place out in the country. It's a brass door on the roof of the shed. Big place, big pen that's underneath that shed. They got the woods. So that was good. There was her house. And that was when we had one of the permaculture groups over at my place, and Hazel was, granddaughter was kind of a little impatient at times of watching her, so Trygve pulled her on her lap and read her story. That was one. That was just like it. You were very comfortable.
And would others like to share memories of Trygve, Vicki, or Jens?
realized by this time that Jens is a pretty miracle guy. And a miracle guy who came through 1, 2, 3, too many bouts with cancer. But I'd call up Jens and I'd say, Jens, how are you? Fine. I said, how are things going? Fine. Then the next thing would be, have you heard what they're doing at the state down there in Madison? And on we were to a political conversation. We're overdue.
For those of you who were never part of the blue building, you are unaware of the culture that we had there. It was different. We came together around some of the deficits that we had, and we worked together. And you could just take on a project and nobody would get in your way because nobody else wanted to do the work. And one day I decided we needed to paint the blue building. And as you saw on the slides, there was paneling. And I had said, well, we'll just paint over the paneling. And Trygve was like, no. Because he would often sit next to that wall. And he said, when I think, I look at the wood grain on that, and it's so beautiful. And I reached down to where the paneling was starting to peel, and I pulled off some of the paper. And I said, here, you can take it home with you. And then it dovetails into Jens, because when I told Jens what I want to do, he says, we're not painting over that paneling, we're taking it down. And without Jens, I couldn't have done the project. And it was, as you all say, you suggest something to Jens, and he's there. And he did a beautiful job. And it came together so nicely. And I just have wonderful memories of Vicki and Trygve and Jens from that building and that lovely culture we had there. And we have a special place in Jens.
And Patrice brought 2 cakes in honor of our honorees today. One is chocolate whiskey, and the other one is ginger. Fresh ginger. And that's what I feel about this community, that we are all people with our issues and problems, but we bring our strengths and our creativity and our joy and our sweetness together. Any further remembrances?
Trygve was not just a member of this church to me. He was also my elementary school librarian, and I think I got a much better education because he was there doing whatever presentation on whatever book that week, because he always wanted to make sure that so many perspectives were shown. If we were going to watch a film in the back half of the class after everybody had checked out their book, I don't think that film was ever once from the States. He taught us a lot about disability issues, about Native issues, and even though we were the tiniest children, it never seemed like he was talking down to us. And so I might have learned more in that library than I ever did in any of the classrooms.
Well, I'll never forget walking into the blue building the first time. decades ago and seeing Trygve. Trygve was my counselor at Norwegian camp when I was 13. And of course, he was the most beloved counselor in Norwegian camps, you can well remember. And to be able to get to know him again, and then Vicki has really been a wonderful part of my many wonderful experiences here. And I do want to say that we're grateful to Jens, as all of you are. Every time we walk out our door, we now have a walkway that makes our house accessible and a little more elegant. So, thank you, Jens.
Back in 2018, in the fall, I decided to, well, my friend Gillette, you guys have met her, she convinced me to move out here and start my life over again. And one of the first things we did was go to a ladies' food lunch where I met Vicki. And I just thought she was the nicest person with the most welcoming smile, and she made me feel like maybe I was gonna meet people and make friends here, and I felt welcomed. And I remember coming here and really enjoying meeting all the people here and feeling like, well, Vicki's here and she's gonna be very welcoming, and it'll make me feel like I can be okay and meet other people. And I remember, I think it was a year later in the fall, feeling kind of sad because being Jewish, I wasn't home for the holidays. And when I walked in here thinking, well, maybe I'll feel a little better just being around people, Trygve and Vicki wished me a Shema Tova, which is how you say Happy New Year in Hebrew, and it made me feel like, wow, just welcomed and accepted, and they've just always been such warm, welcoming people, and I'll always be grateful that Trygve joined us for the ladies' food lunch 2 months ago, so I did get to see him and have lunch, and it was very nice one last time. So I miss him very much, and they are just great people.
One thing that I think needs to be noted is that no one in the world gives better hugs than Vicki.
Oh, and a closing thought is that they taught us the meaning of the word friend. And I got this dictionary and I got the rocking chair in honor of Vicki and Trygve, that we might sit with those we love, maybe just with our thoughts. And no, I can't find it. But the definition of friend, there are so many different ways to think of friend and friendliness. And I'll just read you a few of the words for friend, and then we'll have our closing. Friend, it's a noun. Friend, acquaintance, crony, well-wisher, intimate, confidant, alter ego, other self, best, bosom, trusty, or fast friend, comrade, mate, companion, chum, pal, buddy, conferee, associate, colleague, cohort, consort, sidekick, playmate, schoolmate, classmate, roommate, shipmate, messmate, co-mate, don't know what that means, compeer, compatriot, countryman. Thank you, friends, for being friends, and be friendly to yourself and others, and I think that's what our three treasures share with all of us. Thank you. Martha?
All right, so one more Trygve memory. I was holding off on this. So about three years ago, I think, we had a Christmas Eve sing-along, and I asked people to ask for requests. And unsurprisingly, I got, I am so glad this Christmas Eve from Trygve. And this is a Norwegian carol that I knew because I'm an honorary Norwegian, having graduated from St. Olaf. And I thought it would be, that Christmas Eve, Trygve taught us to sing this in Norwegian, not that we remember. I do think we have some people who might have better Norwegian than I do if they want to come forward. But we're gonna give this a shot. We all have masks on, so our pronunciation's gonna suck no matter what. You know, the trick to Norwegian, I think, is puckering on your oohs and ohs. So if you just do that a lot, the J is sounded like a Y. We'll probably get through it. Year Sagan per julfelt. Fordable Jesus fot. Da liste stjernen som sol, og engler sang søsåt. I'm getting a thumbs up from a real Norwegian. So I'll play it through so you get the melody. It's probably a familiar melody to you. We'll sing in Norwegian. There's a couple of verses after that, the translation of this verse, and then a couple others. I remembered specifically that he talked about their verses of the mother lighting the candle on the Christmas tree and how that reminded him of his family. And then we'll stumble through the Norwegian one more time. And I thought, you know, this could be a nice tradition for us to remember Trygve at Christmas time every year. I'll play it through one time. Announcements. Oh, you're back with me again. All right, so have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll have a forum next week on our theme of holding history. History's in the news lately, you know, what are we going to teach our kids? We have to learn to new place names, we're taking down statues, we're gonna talk about all that next week, and I hope some of you join us. Usually it'll be a smaller, more intimate group on that weekend, but some of you might wanna hang out here. And then the following Sunday, we have Reverend Ted over here. We're welcoming him back. He's gonna talk about faith in a seed. Faith in a seed. And we have music from Thomas R. Smith, and my brother's going to be here. So, you know, it'll be special music. And after that, next slide. Well, also next week is the entering Advent candlelight walk in the evening. So just trying to remind you of that. And I guess we're going to gather around.
One more announcement.
Okay.
So next Sunday will be, Catherine Grant will be here
Oh, right.
at 2 p.m. And you need no singing experience. She teaches the songs. The songs are uplifting and wonderful. It's a tradition of oral teaching, and then we sing. And it's simple lyrics. It's just wonderful. So I'm really looking forward, and I'll be here at 2 o'clock. I think Nancy will be here probably too. Quite a few of us have really enjoyed that. So we want to spread the word and have as many people here as we can.
And since we're all up, then let's say our closing words together, and I put them out on the chairs. Please take one home. I like to think of them not as closing words, but of opening words. This is a way to be open to the world. So, let us go out into the world in peace. Have courage. Question all things. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all beings. Peace to be with all of you.